Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. And today you have with you the Galaxy Equalizers, Joshua and Francis Pierre. And the topic we're discussing today, what is the topic again? What is going on with the biggest farmer in Grenada? Joshua is they give some people some name, and some people have to understand that with the name come certain responsibility. So Joshua, we asking today, what is going on with Grenada biggest farmer? And I don't know if they know,
Who
but
the
the biggest
biggest farmer
farmer in
is.
Grenada is the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
We encourage you to share our program. We are the new kids on the block. So we need your help. We need your assistance.
Right.
Subscribe to Studio Galaxy. Share our program. Like our program. And even if you don't like the program, still share it. Sometimes your friends don't like it too. What is going on with Grenada biggest farmer? And I'm near Joshua. So Joshua, Grenada biggest farmer. Agriculture, you hear people say repeatedly, is the backbone of the country.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good morning to everybody, the diaspora at home, worldwide. It's nice to be alive and to be able to be chatting this morning about agriculture again. I enjoy our Saturday morning chat immensely. I hope the listeners enjoy it. They can also join in and have their say in terms of the chat as well. Mr. Pierre, what's the number? Is it 410 3030?
Yes, 410 30 30. Does it mean the same thing as 410 30 30?
I think so.
410. We have a way about expressing things, 410 30 30.
Yeah, okay. So we've been consumed in the program over the last period of time by Hurricane Beryl. Was it around about the 7th of July or so that it happened, or in that kind of...
It was June or July. You're supposed to be younger than us. You know when hurricane passed? I don't want hurricane, so I'm trying to remember.
Anyway, the hurricane passed, and it's more or less has dominated the news since the hurricane passed. I mean, Carriacou, my mind always go to, and Petit Martinique. Our brothers and sisters there are still struggling, still in need of help, and many of the farmers in the north of our island are still in need of support and help, and some in the middle belt as well. But since Beryl, we've been looking at the response by the Ministry of Agriculture, which is, for all sense and purposes, probably the biggest farmers on island. So what?
Joshua, probably the Ministry of Agriculture is Grenada's biggest farmer. I think sometimes we have to say that more. I don't believe they know that.
Yeah.
They own the Granba estate. They have Mount Rule estate.
Yes.
Mount Pleasant estate. They have lands in Lara. And I don't know where else they have lands. I think the government have some lands they don't even know where it is.
Right.
So
but if you could tell me, because I need a little piece of land for a house.
You have to ask the government. The government of Grenada is the biggest farmer. But I don't think that's sinking.
Yeah.
We always see agriculture as providing technical advice and etc. and doing a good job.
Yes.
Relatively.
Yeah.
But the government have to understand.
They're the biggest farmer.
They are the biggest farmer.
Okay. Yeah. So we had a response in terms of Hurricane Beryl. One of the first response that we had by government was a good response. It was getting a project together whereby farmers could get a little support with their livelihood. They had lost their income, and government decided to support farmers.
Income support.
yeah, with income support. So people who had lost their income couldn't buy their groceries, couldn't pay their bills, couldn't send their children to school, etc. It was very sensitive and very good of government to give income support. And, probably about a third to a half of the farmers have received something, and the other half of the farmers are still waiting. And we're very hopeful that they will get some support soon.
Joshua, they say government money sure, but it does take long. So the farmers have to keep their finger crossed.
Yes,
Government money sure,
but
but it does take
take
long.
long. Yes, yes. That's a good motto because that's been my experience as well. Unfortunately, So let's hope what you just say while the horse grazing or
While the grass growing,
while the grass
the horse
growing,
and starve.
the horse is starved. Let's hope that the farmers don't pass on to another life by the time that money comes. So that was one thing. So that was a nice and a good response. And that response needs to be accelerated, not only to farmers, but secondary processors as well, entrepreneurs who are involved in agriculture. Um, the other thing that we've been looking at and we've talked about on this program is what is the recovery plan? What is the recovery plan for agriculture? Are we going to grow back nutmeg? Are we going to grow back cocoa? Are we going to put in irrigation on the farms? Are we going to resuscitate marketing board and have it in place? What is the recovery plan for agriculture? Are we going to abandon a nutmeg because it takes 7 to 10 years, Mr. Pierre, to grow? Or what are we going to do? How are we going to support these farmers if we want them to grow cocoa and nutmeg and coconut, etc.? Where is the plan coming from in terms of the recovery plan for agriculture from Beryl? And that is very, very important that we have the plan because it's been about 3 or 4 months now since Beryl, and there's been no sign of a recovery plan from Beryl. And that is becoming increasingly frightening. We've heard many things about celebration of farmers and about acknowledging farmers and those things. But as well as celebrating farmers, which is well overdue and really needs to be done at the most prestigious places on island because the farmers supply the most prestigious hotels with produce. So why can't we have our meetings or celebration at these hotels to show mutual kind of thanks and respect to each other? I think that needs to be happen. Agriculture must not be going to these little places. We should be at the most prestigious places available because we supply these prestigious places with food and supply. That is very important. So we need that recovery plan, and that recovery plan should be in place within 4 to 6 months. It's critical that we have a recovery plan from Beryl because the country's farmers is looking for direction from the government in terms of how do we build back better? How do we build back agriculture better? What are we going to do to make it better than it was before? Are we going to make sure that we have an entity like marketing board in place? Or are we just going to kind of ramble along and hope something happens? Where is our strategic plan for agriculture? Has the ministry started its strategic plan for agriculture as yet? Because we have so much or so many opportunities. We have opportunities in the poultry sector. Now, the poultry sector at its height was bringing in something like I think about 16 million pounds of poultry meat per year. We were consuming per capita about 140 pounds per person of poultry meat. What about our eggs? The last check I had on our eggs, we were consuming about 80 eggs per person per annum. The largest consumer of eggs is consuming over 500 eggs per person. What are we going to do about all this potential? We've talked in the past in the program about the potential with the school feeding program. If we manage to serve eggs, 3 eggs a week, what that will mean to our local economy, our local egg farmer, it will boost it. What's happening about our liquid eggs? The hotel want liquid eggs. So we need that policy, that strategic plan, so that we can kind of get a direction. Where are we going? How are we going to build back better? These are critical points that we need to do. And this is just poultry. What about the small ruminants that we speak about? What about the big cows? And then what about grass-fed steak? What about the goat meat? What about the sheep? What are we going to do about those things? Where are we going to get direction from? What about the rabbits people talk about? You know, there's so much opportunities that we talk about. But where are we going to get a roadmap to realize these opportunities?
And that is, and Joshua, like you say, rabbit, because rabbit provide a good source of protein, and rabbit is easy to manage and easy to handle. And small families could grow rabbit and eat one a week.
Yeah, that sounds good. You know,
We have potential like Brazil, you know.
yeah,
But it's just as what is the role of the biggest farmer in Grenada
yeah.
in initiating these things?
Yeah, and as we talk, Mr. Pierre, I've never ate rabbit meat in my life.
Half your life gone. Half your life gone. What's about manikou, tattoo, and monkey?
2/3. I'm not a friend of manicure and tattoo and all those things.
I'm not a friend of them. I'm just eating them.
I must admit, I'm not a friend to eat them. But one of the things I'm thinking about, Mr. Pierre, what about technology in terms of our strategic plan? I hear people have experimented in Grenada with growing fish and chicken together in terms of chicken on top, fish below. You know, these are opportunities that our young people, you know, should be encouraged to take. The hydroponics, there's so much potential in terms of hydroponics. You know, irrigation, what is going to be our strategy with irrigation in terms of that? What's going to be our strategy in terms of the drip irrigation? Mr. Pierre, what they call this one, that when it comes from the mountain and you just...
Gravitational flow.
Yeah, what we going to do about gravitational flow? What's going to be our strategy in terms of those things? Because we can't say we're not polluting the nation and on every farm we're burning gasoline or diesel on the farm.
Like Trump, when you come about pollution and taking Trump position, feed you people.
Yeah.
We'll deal with pollution after.
All right.
Feed you people.
Okay. So yeah, we need to kind of have a roadmap for all these things. We have all these opportunities, but the country biggest farmer needs to pull it all together and have a roadmap for these things. And the biggest one, like agricultural policy, where is it? When are we going to get it? Who's writing it? And if no,
where is the Ministry of Agriculture?
Yeah.
What role? We want to hear the voice.
Yeah.
Even if it's a plan, tell the people you plan. You
Yeah.
made a point about nutmeg.
Yeah.
The question we have to ask, would the Ministry of Agriculture, Grenada biggest farmer, together with the Nutmeg Association,
Yes.
encourage Grenadians to plant back nutmeg? And if they do, because I expect them to do,
Yeah.
how?
Mhm.
We must have a husbandry plan.
Yes, we
The
must.
farmers must know, we're going back, how to
Yeah.
plant nutmeg,
Yeah.
what distance apart.
Yeah.
Are we planting seeds and to try to find out whether it's male or female in this modern day?
Yeah.
Are we going for marketing, for marketing
Mhm.
in the short term and medium term?
Yeah.
What distance we planted? What height? Because it appears that the wind must be breaking some nutmeg tree. You say
Yeah.
that one too tall, bang, break
It
piece.
is. Yeah. I
So
saw something come through on my WhatsApp this morning from a friend in Brooklyn, and it seemed to be saying if you drink cocoa 5 cups a day, it actually enhances your blood flow to all parts of your body. And in many ways, there are many benefits to that. I just looked at it, not really in details, but I thought, wow,
I like when you say to all parts of your body,
yeah.
because you have some blood that going not going to some parts them men want it to go in.
Yes,
It's
well,
going in the wrong parts.
I think that's what it was advocating more,
Yes,
more or
so
less. But I was intrigued. I
but
said, I
I
gotta
would have to
try
try
that.
it, yeah.
Yeah, I
Now,
have to try.
if the individual is saying, if you drink 5 cup of cocoa every day, more blood going to go where you want it to go.
Yeah,
All men will be happy.
yeah, and that seemed to be kind of documented research. But I'll get some more on
Because
that.
some of us drink more than 10 beers a day.
Yeah, yeah.
So why is 5 cup of cocoa?
Yeah, absolutely. But Mr. Pierre, we really have an opportunity, and we have bright people in the ministry, people who can write plans, people with masters, people with
PhD,
PhD, doctorates,
bachelor's.
etc. So we need to kind of put our focus on where we could get the best return. And why I say that is because I was involved in a team that wrote the national poultry policy. And it was a team of amateurs, including myself. And we decided with Senator Steele at the time, who's now, I think, at the UN, he's some kind of climate change
Za.
czar. And what he said, and we agreed, was just write, do something, give us a policy. It doesn't have to be the best policy in the world, it could be a few pages, but put something down. And we followed that guidance and we put something down. I think it ended up to be about 20 pages, and not that big because policy sometimes is about 100 pages. But we put it down, and that policy, despite the different views that people have on it, attracted 60 million of new investment into the country. And at the moment, I was so pleased and so proud that the poultry farm in Crowshoe is ready to roll out the different poultry parts. So you could get leg quarters, legs, thighs, breast, and all the other parts, gizzard, and all the bits.
That's where we have Crossdale.
Yes,
He was
yeah.
on our program previously.
Yeah, Mr. Crossdale, we're so proud of you in terms of, your perseverance and your achievement, and we wish you so much luck. And I know that you're processing on Monday, and I know you have orders that, you can't fully fill, but you're going to give everybody something. I've also kind of placed a big order with you. So it's so good, and I know it's just the beginning, and I hope people.
But we have 2 major poultry operators
Yeah,
at this time.
yeah, and between them combined, they could do probably about 100,000 birds every 6 weeks. This is a major change, and I know the one in Montrose. They have a program or a project where they have 15 or 16 small scale farmers who will produce for them. And I
They have
know,
satellite farms.
yeah, they have satellite farms. And I know Crossdale intends to kind of have the same as well. His model is to start with a few, refine the model, see how it goes, learn from it, and then take more and more and more, etc. So it's a great achievement in terms of Grenada, and I must say a thank you to somebody called Robert Best. Robert Best was a consultant from Trinidad who's now deceased, who did the assessment in terms of Grenada and recommended a lot of recommendation to make the industry better. One of the recommendation that he made was that the state institution should ensure that it uses only local poultry and eventually local meats in its institution.
You want these two industries in terms of Grenada experience. You call them big poultry producers. Government would have to hold their hand in the medium in the interim.
Yeah.
Government would have to monitor them. I hope that the veterinary and livestock division is working with them and give them support.
Yeah.
We don't want them to fail.
Absolutely.
We don't want them to fail.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the Ministry of Agriculture must pay particular attention to that.
Yeah,
An
absolutely.
extension officer
Yeah, absolutely.
perhaps should be assigned to monitor these people,
Yeah.
to able to ready to
Yeah.
report challenges
Yeah.
where assistance could be given.
Absolutely, Mr.
You
Pierre.
don't want them fail.
Absolutely. We cannot afford for them to fail. It really is too important. A proper functioning poultry industry can generate as much as 3,000 jobs
And save a lot of foreign exchange.
and save a lot of money. This is really much needed. And sometimes when we do this achievement, we forget how difficult and hard it is. But going back to Robert Best was the one who did the initial assessment in terms of Grenada poultry. I was lucky enough to kind of be able to run with Robert Best's recommendations. And he made a lot of sensible recommendation, which I subsequently put into the policy. And one of the things that I hope and I put in is that we should review the policy regular because life is not static. So the policy should always be relevant to our poultry industry. So Robert Best, wherever you are,
In the great beyond.
yeah,
Maybe in purgatory.
Oh,
We may have to pray for his souls in purgatory.
yeah. Wherever you are, Robert, we wish you well and we thank you for the contribution that you've made to Grenada poultry industry. God bless wherever you are.
So Joshua, we could sit down comfortable with a sense of hope that we start with the poultry industry now in the right direction.
Absolutely.
We do hope
absolutely.
that the management system is good
Yeah.
and the government, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the government is ready and prepared to do what they could
Yeah.
to ensure
Yeah.
that they don't fail.
Yeah. And one of the things, Mr. Pierre, that we battled with, myself and those others who were involved in the poultry policy and Dr. Louison, we were acutely aware that government had to put aside a substantial budget to re-educate the population on the benefits and merits of local poultry, because sometimes people make the false, kind of conclusion that price is everything. But price is not everything in terms of your industry. Now, how prices are used in your industry is this, especially in Grenada, the Far East country. Now, poultry meats, essentially, the way that the West uses it, Europe and North America, they use the wings and the breast, they make their money. And then traditionally, the other parts, especially the back and neck, was used for animal meat. But the Far East and the Caribbean found a taste for back and neck, and back and neck is synonymous with oil dung. So you're doing your oil dung, you need your back and neck.
Poker too expensive.
Yeah, yeah. So what we want to do is to educate the population and let them know the benefit of breast and how many different things you can do with breast and how breast could be expanded far more than the other parts of the chicken. All the chicken parts are lovely, and chicken is the least offensive kind of meat. If you eat pork, the Muslim will have an issue. You
Thank
eat the
God I'm not
cow.
a Muslim.
You eat the cows, the Hindus
Hindus, thank God I'm not a Hindu.
yeah, but poultry, almost everybody eats poultry meat.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, the Grenadian Parliament will follow the British Parliament and say, only local meats are going to be used in terms of Parliament unless we're not growing it ourselves. So government has to lead symbolically with these things. They have to, stand up and champion local poultry. And, I hope.
Maybe the government could start by they eating local poultry.
Absolutely.
One of the best way to start.
Absolutely.
All this gala and function government
Absolutely.
insists that once we in the ministry, once we are parliamentarian, we're going to take the lead.
Yes.
And because a lot of people with discretionary income are the ones first you could get to consume that.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people are going to be consuming meat based upon the amount of money they have in it.
Yeah. And Mr. Pierre, one of the things a lot of people were very critical of me about the poultry industry was price. But I can show you, I've seen the prices, the introductory prices that has come out from, Crowshoe in terms of chicken farm. And the prices are so competitive. And I'm thinking, where is this extra prices coming from because of local poultry? And I was so pleased. I remember calling Costel and say, these prices are beautiful, beautiful prices, And he says, yes, and I hope I can keep it. So I said to him, well, fingers crossed, because I know the PM is working on ADM and trying to make sure for all these concessions and benefits that Grenada gives to ADM, that it in turn will come back to the Grenadian farmers and not to the other islands.
But again, because of the increase in the quantity of birds now, automatically you have an increase in the quantity of feed. And the rationale or the justification once given by the company that you're not buying enough feed may not be anymore.
Yeah, but they have been busted a long time ago. They were saying that, the association of the local farmers are not buying
Enough feed.
But
they was not buying enough.
And they were caught selling 900 pounds, 900 bags of feed to the other islands.
Well, I told a farmer, why don't you go and buy the container load of feed?
Yeah.
I said, you have a number of individuals you interact with, so you go and buy the container feed and we share it.
Yeah.
We have to be innovative.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, that was offered to Caribbean Agro by the association. I personally offered them not one container of feed, but 4 containers of feed. They did not want to, help with prices because they were making the profit.
But these big farmers now will be buying feed by container load.
Yeah.
They waste time to buy a truck with
Yeah.
Within
the demand has always been there for feed in Grenada. It's just that when you control a market and you have more or less.
Do you blame the companies?
Yes, I do, because
companies here not for joke.
I'll tell you why.
Companies here for profit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I blame them, Mr. Pierre. This is the reason, because you can only use oppressive pricing and oppressive practices for so long. Eventually, it has to fall. So the biggest example of this oppression is this. We had slavery in the United States for close to 400 years. Everybody, not everybody, most people knew it was wrong, it was immoral, etc. It lasted 400 years because it has the support. Same as in Britain. But eventually, these oppression will fall.
Well, eventually the price might drop after we're dead.
Yeah, because we have an arc in the universe. And that arc in the universe might be slow, but it always swings towards justice. Mark my word. So, why not these leaders of these companies take a different approach to their company? Take an ethical approach. We have this kind of almost a monopoly in Grenada. Why can't we develop Grenada livestock industry like we say we would? Why can't we make a profit? And why can't everybody coexist? Is that too much to ask?
Why don't you do it yourself? The company would ask you, why don't you do it yourself?
At the time when they came in, we couldn't do it ourselves, but we could do it ourselves now.
Well, we're doing it.
Well,
We're doing it because both companies seem to have a strong local component in it.
Yes, absolutely. But Mr. Pierre,
Joshua, what's about fish?
oh gosh, fish is my weak point. I haven't thought much
No,
about fish.
obviously, we are exporting fish to the market. And
Yeah.
we cannot supply.
Yeah,
I think the same thing goes with Soursop.
yeah.
We're exporting Soursop.
But fish, now
we
it's
cannot
my
supply.
my memory is coming back for fish, and I think the issue with fish is being addressed partially. I think in Soubise now we have a fish processing facility there. We have one in Grenville, and we have certain fish processing facilities around the island. But what
Principally for local consumption.
yeah, but what we need to be able to process fish on the water. We need a hub, so the fishermen have to start thinking about, do we have a mother hub that's on the ocean there, on all our small little boats, fish, bring it back or sell it back to that mother hub, and it's processed, and whatever needs to be done is done there, so it remains fresh. That's a model that we're beginning to use in agriculture. Well, it's the marketing board model. The idea was that farmers just sell to marketing board and just keep producing, and that model seemed to be international. The
A
whole
few years ago, the Japanese said, more fish die in our old age in the Caribbean waters than what we hold it. We cannot supply. We have a market, international market for fish,
yeah,
and we cannot supply the market.
yeah.
And government and the exporting fisheries. I think one is the quality, and two, the
Yeah.
quantum.
Mr. Pierre, we need to get somebody who's involved in an association, who's knowledgeable about the fishing industry, because we are pretty good in terms of tuna fishing. Now, here we export a lot
Tuna.
of tuna. Yellowfin tuna, I believe it is. And
That is the fish that we seem to export.
yeah, and there's a
most.
high price for it. And, tuna sells very cheap in Grenada, and a lot of people, bypass tuna.
We prefer the
Yeah.
other fish,
Yeah.
So if we have a market for it,
Mm-hmm.
then government must zero in. We must solve problem.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a solution come, we're looking for a problem. It
Yeah.
has to be the other way around.
Yeah.
When you have a problem, you get a solution.
Yeah.
The issue with fish in Grenada is we not hold it enough,
Mm-hmm.
and the quality sometimes is poor
Yeah.
because of the icing and storing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that must be addressed.
Yeah.
And we're not,
And
we're
I
not
think
hearing anything from
Yeah.
the ministry.
So let's get somebody from who's involved in the fishing industry, because I believe fishing is one of our cutting edge advantage that we have, and if other smaller places can solve this problem, we can solve them as well.
Well, Joshua, most countries in the Caribbean cannot export fish,
Hmm.
and Grenada could export it.
Oh Lord!
So
What
we
a-
have a market that
Mhm.
we're joking with.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have to direct the attention
Yeah.
of the Ministry of Agriculture
Mm-hmm.
to make certain that we could hold more fish,
Mm-hmm.
the quality is better,
Uh-huh.
and we could export fish.
But
Simple.
Mr. Pierre, I was confession now. I was in Miami a few years back with some entrepreneurs, Grenadian entrepreneurs, and I went to a few of the meetings with fish wholesalers, and the quantity of fish they were asking from Grenada was unbelievable. So the market is there, and it's not being taken advantage of. And those companies are still around because, as you say, the Europeans and lots of the other parts of the world they've overfished. But you say, what do you say? Oh, fish die in
Dying at
old
old
age.
age.
Oh Lord.
They have rheumatism and arthritis, and they die at old age.
Oh gosh.
We know
Yeah.
what we eat.
So we need to do something about that. And the Japanese were giving us a lot of assistance, and they're pretty good with the fishing industry. The Scandinavian as well. They have massive ships out in the ocean. They don't even come in. Everything is processed out in the ocean, and then by the time they come in, it's to just send it away.
Joshua, what you're hearing about Soursop? The government has not met the Soursop exporters in Grenada for a meeting over the last 2.5 years. We cannot supply the market
Mm-hmm.
and the husbandry practices. If government improve the husbandry practice of Soursop,
Mm-hmm.
we could increase the productivity by maybe 1,000%.
Yeah, so Soursop is something I know FAO has been assisting Grenada with recently. They have a whole program in place to do that. And I know the exporters have been complaining that they haven't gotten the assistance that they should from government. But I haven't been a part of those meetings, even though that I have an interest in Soursop. But my view about Soursop is this: yes, we have an export market, but also cancer is reigning high in Grenada, and I'm thinking, yes, we have an export market, but we have a home market, and you're not seeing Soursop pills being made in Grenada. You're not seeing Soursop juice being made in quantity. Yes, a few people make it in their home. Yes, we're not seeing Soursop kind of sold in Grenada in the supermarkets, etc. And I believe it's kind of folly of the Soursop producers and government not to develop a Soursop market in Grenada. I think there is room for mutual development of export and a home market in Grenada, because I think when our tourists come, they're the same people we export into. We should have all kinds of Soursop product that we can offer them in the hotels, on the streets, etc. I really believe we need to develop a homegrown market for Soursop in Grenada for two reasons: for health and for quality of taste, etc. But Soursop has tremendous potential for export and also for the homegrown market.
The Ministry of Agriculture is Grenada's biggest farmer. I wonder how much acres of land they have placed under Soursop in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I pass Granba's estate because I live close to it quite a lot. The last few days with the rains, I couldn't get across because both bridges came over. But the rivers came over both bridges. So if you were in the estate, you were more or less landlocked. But I see some abandoned Soursop tree in Granba estate. They're not pruned. They're not looked after.
But we say neglected. Abandoned means they don't want it again. So let's say neglected. No husbandry practice on the government farm.
Yeah, but recently I've seen quite a few workers on Granba estate. I've seen as much
They
as
employ 20 again.
we employ 20 again?
They fire 31.
And they employ 20?
Yeah, after we make one amount of noise, they bring back 20.
Okay, because I'm looking forward to the sweet potato. I was told they were growing sweet potato. I don't know what else.
Why they don't plant soursop?
Yeah,
Because you could plant sweet potato and intercrop it, or you could intercrop
yeah,
soursop.
yeah.
Soursop, 3 years.
So is that
You
real,
could get.
Mr. Pierre? Are they going to resuscitate grandpas?
Well, I don't know. Them is the biggest farmer. They
Yeah.
planting Bwakano, Bali J, and bamboo. The three B's: Bali J, Bwakano, and bamboo. We
Yeah.
have to get the biggest farmer in Grenada to behave as a hefe. You got to behave as if he's a big farmer.
Yeah.
So if you plant 20 acres of sauce up in Granba, 20 acres in Montreux, 10 acres in Bellevue land,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you have 50 acres of sauce up.
Yeah. So yeah, the potential for Soursop is there, and the Granbus is good because it's relatively low
And the
land.
water is right there.
Water is right there as well. And I see a lot of nice planting coming up and
And
bananas.
sauce up doesn't dissolve as much water. It doesn't need. And animals don't readily eat sauce up. So you could have, the government could have a plot of land and fence it, maybe 25 acres, and use small ruminant in it and plant sauce up.
Yeah, absolutely. But Granbus easy. Well, in my view, easy to resuscitate. I mean, you just got to
So
choose.
why the biggest farmer in Grenada? Government is the biggest farmer. The
Yeah.
Ministry of Agriculture is the biggest farmer.
I think I know the problem. I think
Well, you give us a solution.
yeah, I think I know the problem. The problem is assimilating and having a plan for all the different aspects of farming. So if they have production going, quite often they don't have market going. And even secondary processing they don't have going. So you grow, because a farmer like Granbus, their crop should be more or less sold before it's ready. So you really growing for market, and I think assimilating all the different aspects of the farming business, I think sometimes that is missing. So they might concentrate on farming production, and there's no specialist in terms of marketing and sales, and
But the
there's no
Ministry of
planning.
Agriculture have a marketing arm.
Yeah, there's a guy called Jimmy Lindsay who was supposed to be in charge of marketing.
Department.
Yeah,
They have a department.
yeah.
I don't know much people involved.
The one, I think.
Well, what they market?
Yeah, but you don't see it. You don't see anything.
Do they encouraging people to eat eggs or to drink more cocoa? Because it's going to bring blood to the area. Men want the most blood.
Yes.
That is a good
Yeah.
advertisement stunt.
Yeah.
Whether you work or not is not the issue.
Yes,
Most
but
men
it's
go
good
try
marketing.
5 cup of cocoa a day.
Yes.
All rum shop now selling cocoa
Cocoa.
because you bring more blood.
Yes.
When you drink rum stop the blood. You
but-
drink cocoa bring the blood.
Yeah. But we set in a trend. So we're getting flowers in the rum shop.
flowers in
Now
the
we're
rum
getting cocoa.
Cocoa in the rum
Soon the rum shop will not be selling any rum.
They're selling more rum because now we're stronger. We're healthier.
Yeah. So that's how it
Joshua
is.
Soursop. But Joshua, I know you've been asking about honey. What's about honey? What
Yeah.
the ministry doing about honey?
Honey, yeah. Because I've been learning about honey, and the more I learn, the more excited I am. And I just believe we cannot have an agriculture industry without the bees. And the bees are so critical for stimulating production in terms of agriculture. It's unbelievable, and I've understood that you can increase your production quite often by 30, 40
Pollination.
by pollination.
If you have increased pollination,
Yeah.
then obviously, and the bees do a very good work in pollinating the cucurbits, switchos,
Yeah.
coconut,
Yeah.
A number of other crops.
Yeah, and that is the same for soursop. They call it hand pollination. So it's not the bees, but you could
Hand
pollinate.
pollination.
You could use your hand with little brushes and pollinate.
Husbandry practice and hand pollination.
Yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah,
ministry have to train individuals to do
yeah,
this. And the
and
best place for the ministry to do it is at the ministry farm.
yeah,
So when farmers come
yeah,
and they see saucer bearing all on the stock or the cambium or whatever you call
yeah,
it,
yeah,
then they too,
yeah,
the fastest way to learn
yeah. But
is to see it.
hand pollination can quadruple your production in terms of soursop.
Increase it by about 10 times.
Yeah, I've been there and I've watched the farmers do it, and I've been amazed at the production in terms of hand pollination.
So where is the Ministry of Agriculture? We have to send out a Mayday, a SOS for the biggest farmer in Grenada.
Yeah, where
They
are they?
principally have the 3 Bs on the land:
Yeah.
bamboo, bacano, and balijay. The biggest farmer in Grenada is the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yeah. So, Mr. Pierre, you think we could get some T-shirts printed, the 3 Bs?
Balijay, we don't want to encourage them. They might like it. And they might continue using it. But honey, in addition to honey, you have beeswax.
Yeah.
1 pound of beeswax is about $15,
Wow.
and you can supply.
Ah.
1 pound of beeswax
Yeah.
is about $15, and you
Yeah.
can supply it.
There's so many secondary
Then you have
products.
propolis. The bees use it to seal their hive,
Okay.
to embalm things and etc. Then you have pollen. A
Yeah.
pound of pollen is about $40 a pound.
Wow.
You cannot supply.
Right.
Then you have queens.
Yeah.
People could produce queens and sell queens.
Right.
A
Right.
queen is about between $80 to $100.
Right. Right. And I was,
And a farmer could produce 500 queens for the year.
yeah, and I was in conversation. There's a guy who called our program recently, Craig, from Carriacou. He's a New York native, but he lives in Carriacou now. And he was convinced that, there's a real industry waiting to happen in terms of the bee and honey industry. And he wanted to do, I think he called it double queen bees. I'm not.
The hive, you could you could put double queens in a hive.
You're right, right. And you're saying you
Normally, a hive have 1 queen.
Yeah,
But you see the greedy man
yeah,
to
yeah.
take honey, decide to double the amount of queens in a hive.
Right.
So you
right,
have system where you could have 2 queens in a hive.
right,
You have
right,
more production because
right.
1 queen could lay between 1,500 to 3,000 eggs a day.
Wow.
So normally a good hive have 1 queen,
Mm-hmm.
a few thousand drones,
Mm-hmm.
and 100,000 bees.
Mm.
And 1 hive could produce between 5 to 20 gallons of honey per hour.
Wow, that's good.
So if you take the lowest,
Mhm.
because we are so mediocrity
Mhm.
is the order of the day in Grenada here. So say a bee farmer producing 5 gallons of honey,
Mhm.
100 hives. That is 500 gallons of honey.
Wow.
And if he sells 1 gallon of honey for $100, he sell it to me
Mhm.
for $100, then he making $50,000.
Wow, that's
His
a good living.
income
Mhm.
could be more than any public officer overall.
Yeah. It's much better than driving down to St. George's and doing a security work for $1,200.
Most of these guys that goes down to St. George's and do a security job for $12, I told a young man, a man must harm you. I said, the only advice I have for you, you leave your wife home with 2 children
Uh-huh.
and going down in St. George's to work for $1,200. All night you in town, all holiday you in town, you must get a good hand.
Oh gosh. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, Mr. Pierre.
Another product you get from bees is royal jelly.
Royal jelly.
This one is-
that was coming from the Far East. Is that the same thing? I used
Yeah.
to see royal jelly from the Far East.
What has happened to us in the Caribbean? Our our professionals in agriculture has not done justice for us. You see, John Compton said it out loud. He said the University of the West Indies has not done justice to agriculture. He said we worse off than the days of Pharaoh. Because in the days of Pharaoh, we had the bullocks and the cat.
Yeah.
He said, now we're fighting with the hoe and the speed. We have a University of the West Indies here. And we get several hundred millions of dollars from nutmeg and cocoa over the years. But the University of the West Indies do not have a program in cocoa, nutmeg, and spice science. So when Grenada wanted assistance after Ivan, Grenada went to India, a competitor. We begged, people begged those bright fellas in Grenada, go back to the old extension officers and hold discussion with the old farmers. When the exporter them come here, all they wanted to go to old farmers and old extension officers, and they were taught how to market nutmeg.
Okay.
So somehow or the other, we have a blight. We don't want to do it to ourselves. Every time you come with a solution, a man have a problem for the solution.
And I like that because I often encounter that in discussions. Somebody having a problem to the solution.
They master that. They want to write nice thesis, things in book that can make money. They want to write things. But every time you come up with a solution to solve this issue, they come up with a problem for the solution.
Yeah. And one of the things that we ought to be looking at, maybe not, but one of the things that's out there, I think Kenco has 300 acres of land that they had under production. And from what I understand, Kenco has folded up. And that 300 acre of land, what's going to happen to
You're going to go back to the 3Bs. Walk on old bamboo and baliji.
Oh, dear.
The government have land. Walk on old baliji and bamboo. Kenco land and Kenco rent, lease. Lease is the correct word. Lease the land from private farmers. These private farmers have the land. They say this land is safer to have than money in the bank. They don't owe nobody, they have the land. So they have this land. But government have land too. Government planting the 3Bs.
But that's where a strategic plan and a agricultural
How
policy.
are you going to get government export to plan when every time they get a solution, they come with a problem?
Yeah, but government acts swiftly sometimes. I see all the...
government does act swiftly, so.
All the Kenco equipment has been sold out. And,
of course, they sell it cheap, they buy.
Yeah, but I was with the Ministry of Agriculture last week and I was saying to the PS, you should be buying all those tractors for us because on the project, the Agricom project, we were promised 2 state-of-the-art tractor and I've not seen them. He says by the time he was able to dispatch people down to Kenco, they had sold it already.
You ever call on the line? Right, you have to turn off the phone. Turn off the phone and turn off the volume. Yes, you see, that's one of the challenges we have. And today we were principally asking questions of the biggest farmer in Grenada. I know government is not aware that they are the biggest farmer. But government should be bringing people on their farm to see the policies. The policies supposed to be practiced on your farm.
Yeah, they're supposed to be model for
a model farm.
Yeah.
You plant nutmeg at a certain distance, a certain height, and you constantly think tank.
Yeah.
What could we do to keep the trees
Yeah.
stronger?
Yeah.
During a hurricane, Do we brace those trees
Yeah.
with cable?
Yeah, we have to believe we
What
have
to
the
do?
solution
Do
within
we plant the
ourselves.
nutmeg deeper so the root system,
Yeah.
and after 5 years, we bring more soil on top?
Yeah.
Because nutmeg roots tend to be more fibrous.
Yeah, and that's all to do with that outside person. We tend to have a tendency to look towards an outside savior rather than believing we can save ourselves and the knowledge we've picked up and see we can use it. And I think that has to be encouraged that we have solutions that we can use ourselves because we've been doing this thing for how many years?
So maybe we have to try to, I don't know where to start, but if the government have a marketing arm, we must know what they're marketing.
Yeah.
Are they marketing CMOS?
Uh-huh.
CMOS is another product that seems to have a very good shelf life.
Yeah.
And a pound of CMOS is about $25-$40 a pound.
Yeah.
And they say CMOS does bring blood in man area where they want blood to. They claim CMOS is an
CMOS and
aphrodisiac.
cocoa.
So if you put CMOS, cocoa, and barbandi,
That's a good mixture.
well, yes. So better the government plant barbandi. And we have some medical doctors, and we have what you call that field that they study medicine and nutrition. One among the scientists, they can't even improve the shelf life of dashing.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, something have to be wrong with us. And then we have our children going to school. When they come out again, it's another joke. So this morning we on asking question: what the biggest farmer in Grenada doing? They have a lot of rivers. Are they growing fish in ponds? The government have fish ponds in the river.
Yeah.
What's
All of
about
that.
crab farming? Does the government experiment with crab farming? Does the government grow in crab? What in God's name the government doing? What in God's name the biggest farmer in Grenada doing? The time has come for journalists. We don't have agriculture journalists in Grenada.
No, it doesn't seem that the journalists are really concerned with agriculture, although agriculture underpins everything in the economy. If there's no food in the economy for people to eat, how are you going to have a tourism
We only have a
industry?
kind agriculture.
Yeah.
Agriculture. What are you doing? A crop like ginger. They claim ginger good for everything.
Yeah, and it is.
I wonder if it bring blood too.
Yes, increase blood flow. But it's a serious question. Who's representing agriculture? From a farming perspective. I know we have the senator, Roderick, but it's about time we have a national farming organization with people advocating for better budgets for agriculture and more innovation and creativity for agriculture, because it seems agriculture is a little bit asleep or dormant, and we need to wake it up and shake it up, because contrary to what people think, without farmers producing the food for the island, you will have nothing. Human cannot exist, without good nutritional food. And whether it's for our tourism guests, whether it's for ourselves, food is very important. And food is not often seen because farmer produces and we eat it and we don't see it. So we don't have a sense of the national kind of GDP that it contributes, because it's produced and it's eaten.
Joshua, definitely today we was asking the question. We wanted to know what is going on with Grenada biggest farmer. And the biggest farmer in Grenada is the Ministry of Agriculture. And the Ministry of Agriculture is supposed to be the model.
Yeah.
When you don't only talk the talk, you walk the talk. So when the Ministry of Agriculture say this is what you're supposed to do, they say, come on my farm, come on my area and see how planting nutmeg.
Yeah.
See the distance.
Yeah.
And then you could continue to encourage think tank.
Yeah.
So people come up with ideas.
Yeah.
You look at Soursop. We have a market for Soursop. The Ministry of Agriculture must produce Soursop. When they're done, they could lease that Soursop plant plot A,
Mm-hmm.
to 5 workers that have been producing very productive. We lease plot A, which was 5 acres of Soursop for you. After 3 years, the Soursop is producing. Now the ministry lease plot A for these 5 productive workers.
Yeah.
The government has to think. We have one among the bright, certificated people in our country that refuse to think, only trying to speak good English and correcting people grammar. The time is to bring money.
Oh dear.
As a farmer, you must have money.
Yes.
They say what? Money talk and bullshit work.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Agriculture.
And farmers all over the world tend
You
to
had
be rich.
Franco from Hermitage, a Don farmer, Ele Postle, Hoodoo Forester, all them foresters are farmers. A number of them. The old Nayaks. These Nayaks more look going through the motion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have Ramdani and them. They might get fed up.
Yeah.
But the time has come for us to ask questions.
Yeah.
And we have to seek those who are in charge to be accountable.
Yeah, yeah.
And we must not bring problems to solution. Every time you suggest a
Yeah,
solution, somebody come up with a problem.
I like that, Mr. Pierre. I like that because I've encountered that several times.
And join us again on Saturday for another of the agriculture program as you meet the Galaxy Equalizers. We fear no subject matter. We
Yeah.
provoke discussion. Never forget to share with program. Remember, we are the new kids on block. We want to grow. And you have to help us grow. Subscribe to Studio Galaxy.
Make our country better.
Thank you very much.